All right, Khan. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to the Torah tribes. Yasha giving the course all honor, glory, and praise. Once again, Yahawashi, Mashak, Wamalaki, Yahawashi. All right, this is Brother Yasha I'm going to get straight into this, right? So basically, this is going into Yahawashi appearing in the Old Testament, namely in the book of Joshua, all right? Now, if you didn't know, Yahawashi is all over the book. I mean, that's what he says in Psalms, right? He says in Psalms chapter 40. All right, Psalm chapter 40, verse 7, it says, "Then said I, lo, I come. In the volume of the book, it is written of me." So that's talking about Yahawashi. Yahawashi comes in the volume of the book. All right, Yahawashi appears in the Old and in the New Testament. Don't think that in Matthew 1:1, that's the first appearing of Yahawashi. Or in the Gospels, right? That's not the first appearing of Yahawashi. Remember, Yahawashi is the firstborn of every creature. Let's go to Colossians chapter 1. This is Colossians chapter 1 and verse 15. "Who is the image of the visible God, the firstborn of every creature." So this is talking about Yahawashi, the Son of the Most High. He's the firstborn of every creature, meaning he was the first creation of everything that is created. Because what does creature mean? A creature essentially means something that is created, basically. All right. So he's the firstborn before everything. So he was made, all right? Because remember, Yahawashi was created by the Most High. But Yahawashi being the first creation, he was before time. He was before the earth. He was before anything else. Yahawashi was the first creation. So let's go to the book of Joshua. So given that fact, that means that Yahawashi, was here before the book of Matthew, or the so-called New Testament, right? Now let's go to Joshua chapter 5. And he actually appears on the earth. Let's go to Joshua chapter 5 and verse 13. "And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him, with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went out unto him, and said unto him, Art thou for us, or for our adversaries?" So remember, hey, this is Joshua. Remember, Joshua, basically the Most High, Joshua is from the tribe of Ephraim, all right? That's Numbers. All right, let's go to Numbers real quick, just for edification's sake. Who was Joshua real quick? Numbers chapter 13 and verse 8, right? It says, "Of the tribe of Ephraim, Oshea, the son of Nun." Now, who is Oshea? Oshea is actually Joshua. Skip down to verse 16. "These are the names of the men which Moses sent to spy out the land. And Moses called Oshea, the son of Nun, Yeshua," or Joshua, right? Basically, Yahawashi, if you want to get technical in the Paleo Hebrew. But Joshua is Oshea, all right? Now, Joshua, he was the leader of Israel after Moses' death, all right? And the Lord says numerous times in Joshua, the first chapter, that as he was with Moses, so would he be with him, right? This is Joshua chapter 1, verse 5. "There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so will I be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee." So that's what the Lord said, all right? He was with Joshua just like how he was with Moses, all right? Now, let's go to Joshua chapter 5, right? Let's go back to this. All right, Joshua chapter 5, verse 13. So basically, Joshua was like, he lifted up his eyes, and he saw a man, right, with his sword drawn in his hand, probably with a fierce countenance, probably was a man of war, all right, or is a man of war. But it says, "And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us, or for our adversaries?" Meaning, are you for us? Are you for the welfare of Israel, or are you for our enemies? Right? Verse 14. "And he said, Nay." So he said, "Nay. But as captain of the Lord, Salakia, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come." And Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and did worship, and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? So Joshua understood, because remember, this is Yahawashi. Because let's keep reading, right? "And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place wherein thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. Remember, the Lord did that to Moses. Let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 3. The Lord did this to Moses. And the captain of the Lord's host, that's talking about Yahawashi. All right? Because he's the one that controls the Lord's army. The Lord is over all principalities, right? Real quick, let's go to that in Colossians, right? Colossians chapter 1 and verse 16. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. What does it mean to have the preeminence? Let's look that word up. Preeminence means the fact of surpassing all others, superiority. So the Lord is superior to all principalities, to all angels, to all kingdoms, whether they be on earth or whether they be in heaven. All right. So that means the Lord automatically is the captain of Yahawashi's host. He calls the shots. When you go to the Revelation chapter 19 and verse 11, let's read this real quick. It says, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. This is John seeing the Lord's second coming, right? And he that sat upon him was called faithful and true, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High, letting you know that this is emphatically Yahawashi, right? And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses. So these armies which were in heaven, talking about the Lord's host, right? It's talking about the Lord's army in heaven, because the Lord has armies in heaven, and they followed him. They're not doing their own thing. He's calling the shots, man. Whatever Yahawashi says goes, right? And the armies which are in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, right? And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. So, yes, Yahawashi is the captain of Yahawashi host. Now, of course, you do have Michael, right, who is also, because remember, within an army, you do have different authorities and powers. But in Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, right, let's go to Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So, of course, yeah, you do have Michael that also shall stand up for his people, right? Or like you for the children of the Most High's people. And in Revelation chapter 12, I believe verses 8 on down, it does talk about Michael and his angels fighting against Satan and his angels, right? Talking about Esau, right, and his damn demons, right? But you also, Yahawashi is the main captain. He's over Michael, all right? Because remember, Yahawashi, he created Michael. He's over Michael, all right? So let's go back to this. Because remember in Joshua, this, and you know, just the fact that this is the captain of the Lord's host would automatically show us that this is talking about Yahawashi, right? But even further substantiation is when Joshua, when the Most High, or this man, or Yahawashi is saying, loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place wherein thou standest is holy. Remember, this was also told to Moses in the book of Exodus, the 3rd chapter. Because let's go to Exodus chapter 3, right? Exodus chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, now Moses kept the flock of Jericho, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush was burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy ground, man. So now we know that it says God. So it says, firstly, in verse 2, it says, And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him. So the angel of the Lord. But in verse 4, it says, And when the Lord saw. So basically, this is what scholars would call basically an epiphany. All right. Basically, when an angel comes and interacts with men on the Most High's behalf. So just like how when you read certain times, like in Isaiah 66, verse 15, right? In Isaiah 66, 15, it says what? Let's go to that. It says, For behold, the Lord. Now, this is all caps Lord. In all caps Lord in the KJV indicates Yahweh. All right, the Most High God. But we know that the Most High God is not going to rise up literally off his throne and come with flames of fire and chariots. He's not going to do it personally. But he's going to send who? Yahawashi, who is the image of him, right? In all likeness, in all characteristics. So basically, by the Most High sending Yahawashi to do this and to fulfill this prophecy, right? That shows you that basically it is the Lord doing it. It is the Most High doing it. But Yahawashi is going to be the one to physically execute that judgment and that prophecy. All right? Just how we say the Lord does all things, but it's not literally the Lord, right? Maybe not so on a physical level, but it's the Most High ultimately. All right. So that's why when we go to Exodus chapter 3, this is talking about this angel of the Lord is talking about Yahawashi. And he's saying the same thing he said to Moses that he said to Joshua. All right. Because remember, we just read that in Joshua chapter 1 and verse 5. Right. That as the Most High was with Joshua, it's like as the Most High was with Moses, so he will be with Joshua. All right. And even when you read Joshua, the Lord had Joshua and the high priests and the priests bear the Ark of the Covenant and split the waters of the Jordan River. Now we know that happened with Moses as well, right? Only except it wasn't the Jordan River, it was the Red Sea. He split the Red Sea through the power of the Lord, all right? But nevertheless, they wanted to make this, too long of a video. Just going into the fact that this is Yahawashi, as we're reading right here in Joshua chapter 5, man. All right. And when you read it in the spirit, basically, it's like he has the same type of spirit of Yahawashi. Just like how, when they would ask Yahawashi certain things, even in so-called New Testament, in the Gospels, they'll ask Yahawashi certain things, certain questions, certain really direct questions. Lord, does thou speakest to us, right? Or to all, right? And Yahawashi would say something completely different, kind of just missed the question. Seemed like he missing the question or something like that. He doesn't really give, an answer that the people want to hear. I'll put it like that, And because Yahawashi literally said, nay, no, I'm not even going to answer that. He said, but as captain of the Lord, the hope of the Lord am I now come. I'm not coming for y'all. I'm not coming for anybody. I'm coming from the Lord. You know what I'm saying? But with that, all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Mashak, Wa Malak, Yahawashi. Lord willing, this is edifying. The water for tuning in. Shalom.